Welcome back to Just Giants with Grump and the Cranky Fan, the best damn podcast for the best damn football team. I'm your host, the Football Grump. With me, as always, is Mike, the Cranky Fan, and welcome back to the New York Groove, Cranky Fan.
Grump, we've been doing this show for how long? 4, 5 years?
I was actually just looking at our archive records this morning. Our first season with the team was 2017. So we have not yet, until this year, this is a Just Giants first, seen a opening week win.
Thanks for trampling over my line, but yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm piggybacking. I was there was a set, the spike, and I actually
exactly. Good job, Karch Karai, with the spike. But yeah, pretty. It's pretty something. It was a pretty miserable weekend for me. Probably it was shaping up to be one of my probably top 5 all-time worst sports weekends. You know, my Lord and Savior Anthony Richardson came back crashing to earth on Saturday night looking terrible. We had 2 losses to the Yankees over the weekend. New York City FC lost, and in the first half of this game looked pretty brutal and knocked out of 3 survivor pools, came in I think second to last in a confidence pool for college football. So it was a really crappy weekend, and that final 30 minutes definitely, it put some lipstick on a pig. That's for sure. So this team's probably not going to the Super Bowl or probably not the playoffs, but at least we have one Sunday in September where we can be pretty excited about being Giant fans.
My, how different our weekends were.
Sucked.
I had a brilliant weekend. I was on my last real vacation of the year that is not football related, as we will be going to London week 5, 6, something like that soon.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I was on my last vacation, went to South Carolina where it was nice and beautiful, and I spent my Friday, Saturday there watching college football and all that, and then went to North Carolina and watched this game on Sunday. Got to watch a win. It was a vacation for me, man. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So Giants 21, Tennessee Titans 20. We get to talk shit, New Yorkers. This is what we probably do better than do things well.
Yeah, Giants Twitter is certainly ablaze with over the last 24 hours or so about taking the victory lap for that one, and it's great. And Grump, I've been saying all offseason that, I expect this team to be, a 4 or 5 win team. I'm looking forward to, the rebuild and building on. And, if this team falls flat on its face, I'm going to be okay. But something with 3 minutes left in a game in early September, I was pumped. And I was like, I don't think about things like draft picks. I don't think about tanking. I don't think about any of that stuff. It's you want to win, and you want to win badly. And I was at a bar by the Garden. Went to Pearl Jam last night, so I was out in that area. And it's amazing how many people were out of the woodwork are Giant fans. And when that field goal miss, that Scott Norwood-esque field goal went wide left, that place erupted like we just won the Super Bowl. So it was a great feeling, and we'll take them whenever we can get them right now. It's been a long run the last couple of years. And again, this might be a rough year, but for right now, we can feel very happy about it, and don't worry about it. Don't worry about the future for everything, just enjoy it. That's my statement to everybody.
Did it absolutely, by the way, if you can't enjoy a win, especially a week 1 win, and it's such an exciting one like that. Right down to the wire. I was basically shitting my pants at the end.
Yeah. Everything can't be big picture. I mean, we're going to talk about Daniel Jones.
It can be if you want to be miserable fuck and not enjoy it. Part of life and setting up for the future is enjoying the present, right? What's the point of setting up for the future at all times? You got to live in the present just a little bit. And if you can't for 2.5 hours on a Sunday, then you're just a curmudgeon.
Exactly.
But yeah, do you think, did you get a feel or a vibe that somehow this game recaptured that same feeling that Giants community felt that week 3 win in Daniel Jones's first year? It was his first start, and he played pretty well for a first start in that game, and then it came down to a screw up, and they were perfectly in field goal position to win the game, and Matt Gay missed his kick, and you and I celebrated, and Giants Nation was like, Daniel Jones is going to the Super Bowl. And now I would say that, like, do you think that, like, maybe that recaptured magic is in Brian Daboll? Did he recapture that kind of feeling from Giants community, you think?
Uh,
I mean, like, the
I think
games were fairly similar, and I feel like the afterglow feels the same, is what I mean.
I think it's different in effect. That win in Tampa, it was the very beginning of the Daniel Jones era, and to me, coaches come and go, but if you think you have a franchise quarterback, that's where you get really excited. I mean, that to me was like, okay, maybe this was a good draft pick. Maybe this was, people were some naysayers about drafting him so high. And like, what do we have here? We don't have the baggage like we do now of the last couple of years of things that were his fault and not his fault necessarily. So I think from the quarterback side, no, but from the coaching side, and I think some things we saw, obviously going for it for the 2-point conversion, that is, you know, this team has been stale and not very aggressive and been pretty conservative for the last couple of years. And that to me was just a signal to his team more than anything. Will he be that aggressive and going for 2 for wins when this team is legitimately a playoff team? Will he do this in a week 14 where a win is desperately needed? I don't know. But I think as far as building culture, building trust between coaching staff and team, I mean, forget the fans and forget the media. I think it's getting everything right in that room. I think that was huge. And, who knows what the carryover will be into week 2, 3, 4, week 14, year 2 or 3. But I think when you're laying the foundation, that's the hope and excitement I think that with this team desperately needs. And I think that's what we got, at least on the short term.
Wow. Really well said. Okay. So before we get into the nuts and bolts of this game and break down what we want to talk about, this is something I want to do this year, and honestly something we should have done from the start of the Joe Judge era is every week I do want to kind of take a look at the coaching things. We do that anyway, I think, but I'm going to make a more conscious effort to do it. So the coaching decisions from this game, I thought, I'm right there with you, lockstep, because I thought there was a solid use of timeouts in this game. He added his first challenge, Brian Daboll, as a head coach, and he won it. It was a good challenge. And I was a big fan of going for 2 for the win. I feel like they were overall for the majority of the game kind of playing ahead of their skis a little bit. Tennessee was giving them things before we get too far into the game. Just generally speaking, they were kind of getting outplayed and hanging around. It didn't look like they were going to survive overtime. I would rather go for the kill. I called for the 2-point. I mean, to nobody in particular. I was watching it with family, but right. I was saying then, I'm going for 2 here if I score. I want to win the game. I don't want to take this to overtime. So I thought that from a coaching standpoint, I felt very good about this game for Brian Daboll. I want to know what you think, though.
I want to talk about the offensive game plan a little bit more when we talk about Daniel Jones. I think the two are connected, so I'm going to hold off on that for right now. Again, like I said, would I have gone for 2 if this game meant more with more on the line? Like if the season's on the line or the playoffs are on the line? I don't know. Especially with this offensive line, especially, with everything else going on. I just think, again, doing it right now where, people are paying more attention to coaching moves because it's his first game. And I think, it's more of a mission statement. So that's in that effect, I think there's really nothing to lose. I'm happy he did it. I think, again, you're sending clear statements to everybody, your team and around the league, that this team might be more open than it was before. That was my big thing.
Brilliantly said. I love that. That, given the nature of this game, forget even what was on the line. It's week 1 of his tenure ever. And it really was a good mission statement. It was a statement to his team, to his coaches, and quite frankly, to the fans, right?
Sure. I mean, yeah. I hate to say it, but, I think the fans are a little secondary to this process of what's going on
Absolutely,
there.
yeah, yeah. No,
But
throwing that in
but
at the end.
something for entertainment value. Again, we are invested so much as fans. Emotionally, financially, all these different things where you want to be entertained as well as having a team that wins. And that's an exciting brand of football. That's one of the things I said last year was we need to get a general manager and a coaching staff to bring this team into the 21st century. I said we had fallen behind with how we played offense, all these different things where everybody's, going for it on fourth down, going for two, go doing these type of things. And that's a clear signal to everybody that we are going to be kicking and screaming our way into the 21st century. Um, you know, message sent out.
Yeah. Well said. So you keep talking about the offense. Let's talk about the offense.
Yeah, let's get into
Um,
it.
all right. So just generally speaking, I'm just gonna kind of give my overview. You can jump in, give your thoughts, and I'll give my more detailed ones. But
Mhm.
early on, the sputters were, uh, that's I guess that's kind of putting it lightly. But I do want to hone in on the fact that like this is now only the second season, or is this the first season with only three preseason games?
This is the second one.
Yeah. So this is I attribute some of this to kind of adjusting, to shaking off of rust, to getting into real game situations because they don't play preseason the way that they play the regular season. They don't do too much craziness. But there were also people missing assignments here or there. Jones wasn't seeing. Sometimes he wasn't trusting. There was, frankly, this team has depth issues. We talk about that all the time. So no need to elaborate too much there, but on the offensive line, they were kind of rotating in Ben Bredesen, Josh Azudu, two guys you don't want starting right now.
No.
Um, and I'm not sure if it was due to adjusting at the half or shaking off the rust or some kind of combination of both, but the offense completely moved the ball differently in the second half. Now, obviously, there was some adjustment there, but also blocks were suddenly looking a lot better as well. So, and it was against a very well coached and a very talented front seven. So that's not to be ignored either. So the offense had a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde to it, I think, from a 900-foot view. So why don't you tell me what you think?
Well, I mean, the first thing was we had a couple of things we haven't had in a long time, and that were just big plays. This offense is going to struggle, I think, trying to have 80, 90-yard drives to score every time. And if you can pop off a huge run by Saquon Barkley, a bomb by Daniel Jones, and get huge chunk plays, the bomb being a touchdown, that's a huge help for this offense. Um, I want to talk about the passing offense in Daniel Jones. My take on this was, and tell me if I'm completely crazy or not, but it felt to me like that the game plan was set up as if we almost had a backup quarterback playing. I mean, his numbers, the completion percentage is very good, but the vast majority of those throws were very safe. They were kind of around the line of scrimmage. There was nothing. It was almost like if you're playing game manager and that's it. And even like the bomb that to Shepard was, I don't think Daniel Jones played all that well. I think the numbers look better than what he actually did. The bomb that Daniel to Sterling Shepard wasn't a good throw. That's an easy touchdown. He had to kind of slow down and kind of catch it on the side and had to avoid somebody to get in the end zone. Um, you know, the fumble on the pressure, again, it can't happen. The fumble, the interception in the red zone it's unforgivable. Um, I just have the sense that, and I don't know how much this, and you could tell me how much you think this was scheming against a particular opponent, but at this point, I think this coaching staff is coaching up Daniel Jones just to be at best a game manager, minimizing mistakes, and he's not a backup quarterback. He's not a rookie. This offense should be a little more opened up than what we kind of saw with him, I think. And I think that's a problem. I how often were we throwing, downfield? How often were we getting, you know, our main wide receivers involved when they're even on the field? We'll talk about that also next coming up. But I was just kind of disappointed that the passing offense was just so basic and just so protective. What do you think about that?
So I would really need the all 22 film, which I don't have access to yet, to fully answer this question.
Mm-hmm.
I understand and kind of agree with what you're saying, and I can't fully agree or disagree with you without really looking at like the game film from that end zone angle and really look at the coverages. So, but I understand what you're saying and I see what you're saying. So
And
Jones for me is a fart.
I agree.
And yeah. So Jones was one of my farts for this. So for those of you who are new to this podcast, this is something that we've done, I'm pretty sure, since the very beginning. Is we give out awards per game, stars for good performances and farts for bad performances, and we give them on varying unofficial levels of fart or star.
Yeah.
And it can be an individual person, it could be an entire unit, it could be a coach, it could be a referee, an announcer, it could be anything the hell we want.
It could be Grump for all we know.
It could be me. It absolutely can be.
So
And
far
I'm
you
pretty
got a
sure it
star.
has been. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, so
thanks.
far you got a start.
So Jones for me, he had a rough game. I think he did, and I'll say rough because it wasn't pathetic. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but he did enough to get the win, and he looked okay on the ground. But he had some iffy stuff, like some batted balls. He had some rough stuff, like missing David Sills wide open, just completely not seeing him. And then he had some unacceptable stuff. The red zone interception is, to me, unacceptable, especially at this point for him. I'm going to give him a pass on the fumble because that shit came in so fast from behind him. No quarterback should expect to be hit from behind that quickly. Yeah, I mean, that block was completely... No, dude, I'm going to give him a pass on that
No,
one.
I mean, no, what I'm saying is that, when he was about a foot and a half from him, about to get nailed, didn't you just know in the back of your mind he's fumbling this?
Oh, me? Yes,
Yeah,
but
same.
there's no way. And it was just as he's cocking back, too. I mean, that's not the same as, like, him being in the pocket for a second and a half and having some front side pressure from the right side, and he's waiting too long to get out of the pocket. I mean, that was a clear whiff from his blind side that just came in as he was cocking back. So that's one of those things where I could just see that being the statistic that gets added to his repertoire of fumbles or whatever. But regardless, I mean, that is part of the theme with him. Now, as far as the game itself, the game planning with Daniel Jones, I think they may have done that. I think some of this offense is predicated on just getting guys in space, even if that is underneath. If guys aren't creating separation downfield, and again, I would need the all-22 to really confirm whether or not Daniel Jones was making the best decision or not. It's a Mike Vrabel defense. I don't want to diminish what that is. I mean, that is a really talented and a really well-coached defense. So I'm not going to necessarily say that they are putting all kinds of airbags and training wheels on Daniel Jones just yet after week 1. I will understand what you're looking at, but I think also, they're dealing with depth issues all over the place. They have wide receivers that have barely even done anything in training camp because they were hurt. They have a whole new offensive system that they're bringing in. I don't know that I'm ready to make that assumption yet. But it bears watching, right?
It certainly it gave me the perception, to me at least. And again, let's just see in weeks 2, 3, and 4 how that bears out. But like, if you didn't know any better, you just got somebody off the street doesn't know the first thing about the Giants, and you told them, "Hey, our backup quarterback's playing today," they'd believe it. Not on the quality of the play, just the way
both.
he was kind of managed. You said, this is an offense they want to try to get, guys in space and let them do their thing. Well, I guess that begs the question, which everybody's asking is, well, the guy who does that the best spent almost every play in this game on the sidelines watching. I'm talking about Kadarius Toney.
I mean, I think this one's fairly obvious. There could be something further, but the dude has not been healthy all spring, summer. It's a brand new offense, and he did have a package of plays that were gimmicky, and gimmicky is easy to learn. That's the thing. Take this handoff, run around the corner, do your thing. Take this handoff, look downfield for a throw. If it's not there, pull it down, run, do your thing. He had a couple of routes. It's just, I wasn't really super worked up in the moment like everybody else was in the first half. I don't think I tweeted anything about it, but I wasn't really losing my mind about it because it's not really all that insane to me.
Well, here's my thing. It's like, even if you only have a specific package of plays, and if we're saying that just because he's been banged up so much, well, so is other guys, like Kenny Galladay's been banged up, or other guys who've been hurt. They're on the field. Even if you only have a specific set of plays, have him out there running as a decoy at least.
No, I'm not saying that. I think it's more like just the fact that I don't think they're as comfortable with him running. Like, I don't think that he's shown enough in practice that they trust him in the offense yet. I just think he hasn't learned it. Kenny Galladay may have been hurt, but he's been running all preseason, all training camp. I think they trust him to run the right routes and be in the right spot. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but I just think he's got so much talent that I think you can, okay, he doesn't know all the routes or stuff, but at least having just out there, and again, for nothing else, as a decoy, something you have to kind of, pay attention to if you're you're the guy with the green helmet, the green dot on your helmet, like account for this guy, even if they even bother going to him. I don't know. And I was thinking about it too. It's like, well, somebody said, well, maybe he's just in the doghouse. I'm like, well, think of the other guys that were potentially in the doghouse. They're not on this team anymore. I mean, they had the opportunity to get rid of him, and they didn't. He's still here. Where guys like
that's what I mean. I really just I don't think he's in the doghouse. I
don't think so either.
I just think that they want guys out there they can trust, and I can see what you're saying about putting him out there as a decoy, but also it's like now you're just putting somebody out there that's not even part of the progression. Whereas instead you could have somebody else that can be open. We maybe laugh about the roster and how David Sills is on it or something, but David Sills was screaming wide open on one play, would have had a long bomb if Jones was paying attention. Mm-hmm. Chris Myrick, we can laugh about him, but this dude had a fucking touchdown in this game. Yeah. So, I can see the flip side of being like, I'm not putting a decoy out there. I'll put somebody out there who's going to catch the ball, runs around, knows where he's going.
Yeah, but it also, still, you could just have him run like an out or just something basic. It's still, if he's running through his progressions and he's open, you can still throw to him. He's like, you can't catch. I don't know. Something is just odd. And
but you're missing the point. What if they have to call an audible? Then they have to call a fucking timeout because now Joe Schmo doesn't know the playbook. You know what I mean? I think they're going.
If he's that far gone, if he's that far not even knowing the playbook. If it's one thing to know the playbook and the second thing to be able to practice and execute the playbook. He just doesn't know the playbook.
I'm talking about like
he's a fucking moron and he needs to be cut.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I just think that they didn't trust him because he hasn't put in the work yet. He's just been off. I don't know. Mm-hmm. On the flip side, Shepard hasn't done jack shit, and he played. So
yeah. I don't know. How does Shepard all of a sudden know the whole playbook? Did they trust him?
I think maybe when he went out there, maybe he did better. He was where he was supposed to be, etc. I don't know. We're not at practice and stuff. So.
It seems I don't know. There's something missing from this. Whether there's something that physically why he can't be out there, or I don't know. If he's in the doghouse, I think they would have got rid of him. I don't know.
I feel like that would be moral negligence to put him out there if there was something physically he couldn't be out there for.
Well, they would explain it though. I could buy that.
I would hope not.
If there's something wrong with him, I don't want him on the field. And that would make sense, but they're not saying.
Also, it's a new coaching staff. I don't blame them for just being like, no, dude, you haven't been at practice and you're, I don't know, you know what I mean, and just being like, no, until you do this, you're not getting playing time. I don't know. It does kind of strike me as maybe Tony's not the hardest working at practice. I don't know. I have no idea.
There's got to be something.
I don't know. I don't think there has to be. That's the thing. There could be. I think there very well likely will be, but I don't think there has to be. I think that is a good enough reason. But whatever. On the flip side, let's talk about Saquon Barkley because that was way more Tony talk than I wanted to do. Let's talk about that high draft pick. 194 total yards, 18 carries for 164 and a touchdown, 6 catches for 30 yards, and a 2-point conversion. I thought in this game he showed some really good vision. I thought he also ran into contact well when he did, or when he chose to do so when it was appropriate. But he was cruising for a fart. By the way, he was a star. He was cruising for a fart. It's amazing. It's amazing how devastating one thing can be, because he certainly wouldn't have gotten a star from me if he fumbled on that big play that set up the win. He's lucky that fumble bounced forward and out of bounds, because on the other big run of the game that he had, the 68-yard run, he had the ball in the wrong hand. He has it on his inside hand. I know running backs don't like to change hands when they're running, especially full speed, because they have a tendency to lose control of the ball. But I was always taught ball on sideline hand, always, or two hands on, and you could see that coming from a mile away. That thing was getting punched out. Footballs bounce in the strangest ways. That game could have been just the typical bullshit Giants heartbreaker on that one stupid fucking mistake alone. Nevertheless, he got lucky. He's a star for me.
I would have downgraded him from a star to a nothing with the fumble. They would have lost the fumble, because I just, again, especially after even at the first quarter where this offense could do nothing behind this offensive line, to do what he did and to show he's 100% back. And also, I just, it's pretty remarkable, and it's really great. I mean, yeah, a fumble would have pretty much negated all the good feeling for it, but I don't know.
I'm just being a dick.
Yeah, that's why you're a grump.
Yeah, but I thought, I mean, in addition, I'm going to loop in the run blocking in with Barkley for that star.
I would say one more thing. One more thing just about, the thing that really impressed me about him was just the overall consistency of the run game. I mean, he had that 68-yard run. Is that what it was, 68 yards? You take that out, he still almost ran for 6 yards a carry. So it wasn't like a Barry Sanders 2 yards, 1 yard, -3, 87 yards, 3 yards type of performance. He was running consistently well the entire game. And that is what, this offense is desperately going to need, because I am pretty sure, you're going to see, there's going to be tape of this game going around really quickly, and seeing what, the limited amount of what the passing game is, they're going to be keying up on him, and we'll just see what they have to do.
Oh, you couldn't be more right about that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Barkley had an insane day. The run blocking, it was the best we've seen in a while. We noticed it in preseason and in training camp. We could see right away this team's going to be able to run the ball. But in a game, we haven't seen that level of running lanes in forever. And they weren't always the desired lane. They were cutback lanes at times. But Barkley hasn't really ever gotten the chance to just be running north and south when he's finally got a defender in his face. Most of the time, he's only just gotten the ball. So it's amazing how different it is and how different he looks, in addition to another year removed from being hurt, improvements in the offense in general, etc. And it wasn't it was a really good performance for the offensive line from the run blocking standpoint, but it wasn't absolutely perfect. Like I said, the left guard spot was a rotating door, and I'm giving the weakest of farts I can give out here to Josh Ezeudu. I thought that, first of all, I thought that he shouldn't play almost like at all this year, very sparingly. I thought maybe he should use. They're kind of in a tough spot where he's got to play. But I thought he moved well, and oftentimes in the second half, he did just enough to spring things open. He had a really great block on Barkley's touchdown. I think he handled Simmons one-on-one just enough for Shepard's touchdown. But he was not very good to start off, and he looked at fault on the sack fumble early on. Tough task with the Tennessee front, but he's a kid who will need some time to grow. And it looks like maybe he'll learn trial by fire. I don't know if we have any more info on Lemieux.
It's the NFL. I mean, he's going to face good defensive lines and all sorts of exotic things coming at him every single week. It's not going to get any easier. I have him as a silent but deadly fart, I guess. You're right. He was in a tough spot. I don't know. Again, I'm thinking about film, and I'm thinking about what's going to happen going forward. Are we going to see, defenses creeping up on the line of scrimmage more and more until we have a proven passing game, one that's open up a little more than we saw this week? it's going to be more difficult for this offensive line. Having Evan Neal on that right side is a huge anchor for this run game. And, you know, him and Andrew Thomas gets a star. I think he played a great game. Having those two is really going to help a guy like Barkley.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, I was really impressed with the run back. And one last star I'm going to give out here for the offense. I'm giving one to Richie James, and I'm giving it to him partially because he's a dude who we all thought was like, oh, he's making the roster because he's making plays, but coming in, he really had to fight for his spot, and here he was 5 for 6 for 60 yards, and he really looked like he belonged on an NFL team out there. He really was Jones's favorite target, I think, other than Barkley. And the one incompletion to him was a short throw by Jones that he actually almost corralled.
Right.
I thought he played a great game. And in addition, on special teams, I thought he played pretty well returning punts. I'm giving Richie James a star, man. That was an NFL performance for him. That was good.
I have him down as a star also. I thought I said this during training camp. He reminded me a little bit of Victor Cruz a little bit. Same number, just the guy from nowhere that's making plays, and let's see what happens when the season starts. And you're right, there seems to be a chemistry with him. And until we know for sure what's happening with Kadarius Toney, we'll see how long Wan'Dale Robinson's going to be out. Having him as someone we can maybe rely on is really, really going to help this offense out. As a bridge to those guys are really in the offense, or he forces his way to be a guy who's in the wide receiver rotation going forward, even when they're back. So very, very encouraging.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him continue to grow in this offense and Daniel Jones to start throwing to him a little bit more. I got nothing more for the offense. You want to flip to the defense?
Yeah, let's go to defense for sure.
I thought the defense looked good overall, having handled Henry to what they did and given the red zone stop as well. Tennessee did a lot of work for them. Early in the game, they were butterfingers left and right. There were some dog shit throws from Tannehill. The struggles and weaknesses getting exploited in the second half and pretty badly. Tannehill had a good statistical day despite errant throws and a lot of drops. So that's kind of bad. It would have been a much better statistical day for him had none of those things happened. He went 20 for 33 for 266 yards and 2 touchdowns. This defense will need to get better, but they did pretty well.
I felt, the ability to run the ball and, on the offensive side gave this defense a little time to catch some air and get some breath. Like the problem we've seen with this defense over the last couple of years, the offense has been so bad that they're out of gas by the fourth quarter. And I didn't sense that in this game.
No, so it was certainly trending that way early on.
Early on, it could have been a disaster, sure.
Yeah, I was getting really nervous. And that's a credit to both the offense and the defense. The defense first was able to start hanging on. Actually, was never really performing bad in the beginning to start with. But the offense picking up, the time of possession almost evened out. I think it was like 31-28 or something like that.
Exactly. And that's a win for us after the last couple of years, like I said.
Oh, my God, it's huge.
You got to remember something, too, about this defense that, talking about Tannehill's numbers and stuff. You got to remember, our 2 best pass rushers did not play. And that changes a lot. That changes, you're giving a quarterback a little more time than he might have had if Thibodeau would have played or Azeez Ojulari would have played. A big difference. And when you're able to kind of just stand back there a little bit more than you would have, you'd expect better numbers. So given the fact those 2 weren't there and the pass rush could be generated as much as we'd hope for, I think they did a good job.
I gave a star to the front 7. The entire front 7, I think, played really, really well, and I don't even know who the front 7 is because so many guys were subbing in and out, and we have so many DBs on the field. But you get my point. They limited Derrick Henry to 82 yards on 21 carries without their starting edge rushers. There was like the 2 things that we were the most proud of on this defense because, we didn't really have anything at the corner number 2, and, we don't really know what we're doing with safety number 2, and we just traded away our starting linebacker. The 2 things you could hang your hat on were Azeez Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeau and Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence. And 2 of those guys of those 4 that I just mentioned were out.
Mm-hmm.
They also limited to Tannehill to only 7 yards rushing. We mentioned Tannehill as a running threat in this offense coming into the game. And the biggest thing for me that really solidified this front seven absolutely earned the respect of the Tennessee Titans, because in the fourth quarter on 3rd and 1, the Titans ran a tight end sweep for negative yardage instead of running it to Derrick Henry up the middle. That says all I need to know about what Tennessee thought of the day that they had.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I noted that. I have it on my notes right here at that play. It's just, you have the best running back in football. You need a yard. What are you doing? Why are you getting fancy?
Not only do you need a yard, you have 2 downs to do it if you get, I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
Derrick Henry only gets, 2 feet out of the 1 yard, you have another down where you're like, it's 4th and inches, I'm gonna go for it. But doing the tight end sweep, they lost like 3 yards on it. That took them out. That's it. We're punting now. So
Right.
that was a massive gamble on their part when they have what you'd consider the sure thing.
And a good job by the defense to be aware of that too, because I guess everybody on the planet expected Henry would barrel ahead for a yard, and to adjust on the fly to smoke that out is a good job by the defense.
Protect those edges, and stopping the run is something that Wink Martindale said from the moment he came in, he said that a lot. And they certainly invested in keeping defensive tackles on the roster, but I just wasn't sure I was going to believe it, especially in this first week against Derrick Henry. But I'm a believer in him stopping the run now,
Yeah,
at least insofar as when the team has a really good running back. So, I did have to hand out a fart to a defender though, and it's the loudest, stinkiest fart I'm giving out in this game, and it goes to Darnay Holmes. He had a really tough matchup task with rookie Kyle Phillips, who is very shifty and a good receiver, and he's going to have to play man coverage, and it's just not one of his strengths. So regardless, he got cooked, and he was a flag machine, and most critically on the final drive. I said this last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever we brought in Fabian Moreau, I can see a scenario in which they feel Fabian Moreau is more of a boundary corner than Aaron Robinson, and that Aaron Robinson is just a better fit at nickel. I think that could still happen, and I just generally don't think that they like Darnay Holmes too much on this defense.
Yeah.
He's just not a man cover corner. He's an excellent zone slot corner, but I don't know.
That's not, we're going to be running that much here, so.
Special teams wise, I mean, do you have anything else defense you want to mention?
No, I'm ready to get the fart machine going since we're talking about special teams.
Okay, so special teams still not looking great. It's one of the things that has collectively as a unit looked bad since the beginning of training camp. Collectively, it's looked horrible. The preseason games, they were letting returns go all the way up the sideline left and right. It's still not looking great, but it is seeing some positivity since preseason. The bad snap on the PAT is unacceptable. It just is. That can't happen. That said, Gillen punted like a bazooka in this game.
I was going to give him a star in an island of star in an ocean of fart of special teams, honestly, because he was blasting punts and
yeah, holy shit.
flipping field position. Yeah.
It was not even getting like recognition really from the TV staff or anything. But also, one of the huge problems was punt coverage, and some of that was pretty good in here. McLeod had a massive wall up on somebody. Julian Love and some others had good punt coverage. Also, there was the fumble recovery. The muffed punt by I think Kyle Phillips, and McLeod was there again, and Jason Pinnock. Pinnock came up with the ball, but I think McLeod's the one who jumped on it. And some punt coverage was bad. I think Matt Breda on one play early on lost contain really badly and let something go up the sideline. But also, the punt and kick returns, I thought they were okay. Richie James and Gary Brightwell, I thought they looked okay. But, that one massive thing, that PAT, that can't happen. It just overshadows all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah. There's nothing more you can really say about that. It's just like Daniel Jones, like you have the pick in the end zone, kind of it dwarfs everything else. Well, losing a point like that in a game like this, it could mean everything.
Critical,
You don't know the butterfly effect of it, but yeah, it's unforgivable.
I've got really nothing else to award. Is it time to go around the NFC East?
No, I think I want to give a star to Dable and the
Okay, all
coaching
right,
staff
go for it.
too.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
okay.
I again I already spelled it out a little earlier, but to me that going for two said so much about you know his confidence in this team. I think his confidence in just what he saw throughout the game. I think as he saw the running game, I think he saw a defense a little bit on its heels, and I think it was the right time to do it. And again, the perfect time to send a message to everybody. And I'm happy for him. I also like the fact that he got into Daniel Jones' ear after that pick. I think at some point maybe you stop babying people, and sometimes you got to kind of say to him straight. He definitely gave him an earful after that. He's like, and I think the transcript afterwards was he said something like, "What did you see?" And Daniel Jones said he saw something. Go, well, that's not what I saw. So it's good to you know a little tough love, but he did end it like on a positive, like, okay, the defense is going to get you the ball back, so let's go. So I think that you know when's the last head coach here to win his first game? It's
Ben the hair, the suit, McAdoo.
McAdoo did win his first game.
Yeah.
Okay, but it hasn't happened much around here lately, winning games in September. And, it would have been a tough game to lose because he hits that field goal. It would be just a game that they lost in the last minute and, gave
Yep.
away at the end. So, narratives mean everything. And, we're not booking our flights to, Phoenix just yet. And I'm certainly not going to take each game as a referendum on this season and the future of this team. But for a couple of days, you can feel good about yourself, and we haven't had much to feel good about in a long, long time for this team. So I'm going to give him a star for, getting the job done and getting the W.
Yeah, you know what? That's a miss on my part. He deserves a star.
Mm-hmm.
But let's swing around the NFC East because now we are relevant. Let's just start with the biggest news one because the other two I don't really care that much about. But Dallas getting the shit kicked out of them by Tennessee, kind of.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, sorry, Tampa Bay. Yeah, 19-3. Dallas now 0-1 with a conference loss. And Dak could be out 6 to 8 weeks. He's got a thumb fracture.
Someone did say on this show last week that Tampa Bay and Dallas would not make the playoffs.
And Tampa Bay didn't really look that good, or Dallas's defense looked insane. I'm not really sure which it kind of was.
I'm not buying that. Now, to be fair, I did not watch this game. I was at Pearl Jam, like I said, but I was getting reports constantly, during the show and everything. If Dak is out for 6 to 8 weeks, this is not a playoff team. This is a team that would have, probably would have sneaked in to the playoffs with Dak at optimal, performance. But without him, this team could potentially lose 9, 10 games. I don't like this roster. I don't like the coaching staff. We've had debates since the show has started about Dak, how good we think, both of us think he is. But without him, what the hell is this? Cooper Rush?
Cooper Rush. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can argue about how good Dak Prescott is or isn't, but having a backup play in place of him is always going to be worse. I mean, we agree on that.
And let's not get ahead of ourselves. We still have to play Carolina this week. It didn't look very impressive at all. We could be going into that game 2-0 playing Dallas on a Monday night.
We could, but again, like you said, our film is out there and we didn't look spectacular on offense. And again, on defense, even though they did play well containing Derrick Henry, they got a lot of favors early on from Tennessee with bad throws and some awful butterfingers.
Yeah.
So, I'm not even skipping ahead to shit. I'm not.
Oh, I know.
I'm not swinging my dick around for Carolina just yet. We haven't done that preview episode yet. I'll talk my shit.
There's
then.
two things I could be pretty sure of from watching games around, yesterday and today is that Geno Smith will be figured out very, very quickly with tape after tonight's game, and I think this offense will be very easily figured out if they are going to be such game managers on the passing side of. I just kept thinking that over and over again of like this is going to be schemed very quickly in there. this has to be opened up more. So, if they have concerns about Kadarius Toney, if Wan'Dale's going to be out for any period of time, Kenny Galladay's still pretty much a nowhere man. That has to change because they're going to they're going to see Saquon having a game like he did. He's going to be the talk of the league for a week. Defenses are going to key on stopping him and challenging this offense and challenging this quarterback to beat them in the air, beat them over the top. And until we see that, I'm going to be very concerned. But that's a concern for next Sunday, not right now.
Yeah, I agree. But that said, Dallas's defense did look a little scary, so that I'm not really losing my head just yet. But I mean, it certainly helps things just seeing Dallas not do well.
Will Mike McCarthy finish the season?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too, and who gets elevated then? I said Dan Quinn to you, but is it possible that it's Kellen Moore?
It doesn't matter because I think they're going to throw the checkbook at Sean Payton for next year.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter who that. Let's put.
So
this way.
I wonder if Kellen Moore will shake loose next year.
It's possible. Yeah. I mean, I think if they're making the change and they're going to launch McCarthy, it's because this team is out of it. So it doesn't really matter. They're not going to, it's not someone to get them over the hump into the playoffs this year. But it's a good question. But of course, unless let's backtrack to answer your question. If they could throw the checkbook at Sean Payton, if Sean Payton doesn't want to come, that's where you think about, will Kevin Moore be elevated and become the head coach next year?
Yeah, well, I would think that. Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe my strategy would be I'll elevate Kellen Moore because then he's my. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't care. Fuck him. The Eagles beat Detroit, but only by 3. I didn't watch this game. I still haven't watched this game. I have seen what Detroit looks like, so I thought that was kind of shocking that it was only a 3-point game. I don't know if you were able to watch this game, but Philly gets a conference win, which actually technically puts them ahead of us in the standings.
I saw part of it on the plane, but the problem is that the satellite TV on a plane is about 4 minutes behind real life, so I was getting texts on my phone or, tweets about things that are happening. And at the end of a drive, when I was just seeing the beginning of a drive, so it was a little weird to see.
And the Commanders beat Jacksonville.
I guess one thing I was going to say, James Bradbury getting a pick 6, I'm sure really made a lot of people who listen to the show very happy.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Bummer. If it was that close of a game that they could have lost, it would have been awesome to see a conference loss for a division rival. But whatever. We assumed that game was right. Our NFC East, aside from the Giants game, our predictions were spot on. The Commanders beat Jacksonville 28-22. Washington is now 1-0, the same as us with an out-of-conference win. When we kind of assumed this, Jacksonville is going to be kind of weird for me to figure out as the year goes on because they did just throw money at random names and then hire Doug Peterson, but they have Trevor Lawrence. Like I just can't discount that. I guess I don't know.
I've always been very high on Trevor Lawrence. I think he's the type of quarterback that they might sneak a win or two just because of his talent, but 8 or 9 wins seems like a real long shot. And again, we're both not Doug Peterson fans, so he's not a magic maker. He's not going to turn this team around instantly to be a playoff contender. It's going to take some time.
I've got nothing else. Ready to wrap?
It's been a long weekend, and all sorts of emotions from ugly to happy at the very end. So, we may look back in 10 weeks from now if we're 2-8 and being like, that seems so long ago. But it's again, winning on opening day. It's something we haven't felt around here in quite a while, and it gives us hope. Just enjoy wins like that. Like we said earlier, don't have every play and every game be a referendum on the state of this team for the rest of the year or the quarterback or the price of tea in China. Go each Sunday, go to the tailgate, have a good time, go watch the game, root for us to win, be excited. And if they don't, we'll move on to next week. That's all I can say. And a game like this kind of reminds myself personally, because I've been so very vocal about I have no problem tanking this year and knowing this is really the first year of the major rebuild. But I also love winning, and I hate losing too. So this kind of reminded me of that.
Dang, what an outro. This is a really good conclusion paragraph there. But yeah, enjoy this. Like I said, we spend all off season talking about the future. This is the regular season. Live in the present for a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Follow me on Twitter at @football_grump. Follow the show at Just Giants Pod, and follow the Cranky Fan on Twitter at the Cranky Fan, and of course his other podcast for college football and Rays baseball, FL Teams.
If you thought this was a happy recap, I'm about to hit stop on record on this and hit play on record on my other show, and that will not be as exciting and not as happy and rainbows and puppy dogs. That's gonna be a bloodletting. So go to if you want to hear my thoughts on what the hell happened to Anthony Richardson and my Florida Gators, go to the FL Teams channel on YouTube. Sometime tomorrow that will be up, and you'll hear my thoughts.
Yeah, and that is stuff that Giants fans should pay attention to. So I highly recommend doing that. All right, we will see you guys on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, etc. This upcoming Friday with our next game preview against the Carolina Panthers, our home opener, our homecoming, whatever. We're ready to bring out the booze and
we're ready to be at L17, and we're ready to see all our friends.
Smash bottles, jump on tables, and start fires.
Sounds good, man.
All right, everyone. See you. Go Giants.
Go Giants.